All right, welcome to Explore the World. It's 2 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started. A special welcome to Profesora Luz Alvarez's class, who has joined us for a while. We're glad you're here, and welcome to everybody else too. This is International Education Week, and so this event is part of International Education Week, which is a joint initiative of the U.S. Departments of Education and of State. It celebrates how important it is to teach our students how to live, how to thrive in a globalized society, and to also welcome students from abroad to come here and study and learn. Today we have two presentations, one on Mexico and one on Germany. We're going to have Mexico go first, partly because the class is here. Professor Luz Alvarez has been a regular participant on our Las Pintas nursing trip, which has gone almost every spring break for 20 years. We haven't gone recently because of COVID. But our nursing students go down to a community outside of Guadalajara and do community health education and health screenings. Every year, the students come back and say they received more than they gave. And Luz has been a translator for this trip for many, many, many years. We so appreciate her time and her efforts in that. You students who are learning Spanish, we do take students to translate also. So if you're interested, this is your chance to learn more about it. Luz, thanks for being here.
Okay, well, thank you, Janet, for considering me. And welcome, everybody. It's good to see you. I see not many, but almost all my class of taking, this is an occupational Spanish class, which is only the only occupational Spanish class for credit that we have here at the college. So if you are interested in learning more about the hotels, restaurants, kitchens, please consider taking my class. And before I go on to tell you about my experiences in Mexico, I just need to let you know about the foreign language program, okay? So I'm gonna do a commercial with the permission of Janet. I just want you to be aware of what we have here at the college in terms of foreign languages. How many of you are taking a foreign language or speak a foreign language? Raise your hand. Yeah, okay, excellent. Oh, you see, we're already a very international crowd. Well, if you haven't, please consider taking a class, okay? Because overall, foreign language programs for learning a foreign language is something that will be really, really satisfying in your life. Okay, so let me just show you my PowerPoint because I want you to be visual about, okay, can you see my share? Okay, here. Can you see my PowerPoint now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so you're gonna see my slides. And so these are the credit program, the transfer program, and we offer 5 of the most widely spoken languages according to UNESCO. And they are Chinese, French, German, Japanese, and Spanish, okay? So far as you can imagine, Spanish is the one that has most enrollment, only because there are only about 50 million people who can speak the language in this country. And many of you find that, well, I'm gonna try to communicate with people who are already living in this country. But at the same time, when you learn Spanish, you can go to 21 countries where Spanish is the first language. So consider taking a class, not only because you already have it here locally, but because you can go all over the world. French is very important also for business. Is important for the arts, for the culinary program as well. And so we offer those classes in the elementary and intermediate level. German is also the language of businesses. And here in town, we have several German companies that, that are willing to send people to Germany, but also to work and learn some German for the field. Japanese is a very popular language in our community, in the Johnson County community. And so usually we don't offer that very many classes, but those classes fill up right away, okay? So for some of you, we have very, very good Japanese teachers. If you are interested in anime, manga, whatever, we found that a lot of these students interested in these areas like to take Japanese, but also consider sometimes a Japanese is a industrialized country, and it will be always very good to know another language. And well, Chinese also is a program that is growing and growing. We have a teacher who teaches here and at KU. So the teacher knows exactly how will be to transfer your credits to KU and other universities. All of them are, all our credit classes are transferable. You're gonna get credit at a way better tuition rate. Can you see the next one?
Yes.
Okay. So these are some of the advantages of taking languages, foreign language classes here with us is because our professors, you are gonna be with professors who pretty much that's all they do. They are not graduate students, and we teach you in smaller classes, okay? So forget about huge auditoriums. You know, right now with COVID, our classes have gone down to, you know, to have face-to-face, maybe 10, 18 students, on Zoom up to 22, okay? And then we address all the 4 skills of a language. So we train you to understand it, to read it, to write it, and to speak. Speaking is the last ability you have, and we go little by little. So one semester is not gonna make you fluent, but it's the first step towards a wonderful journey. We also, with the pandemic, we have learned that we have the opportunity now. We have to embrace the opportunity to offer classes on Zoom. So like my students, like you can see some of them are on campus, some of them are where, you know, at a different location, but you can take that class on Zoom. In the foreign language, we make it very interactive, so students can always be interacting and participating and listening the teacher and other students. Okay, another advantage is that we have free tutors. So if you need more extra practice, if you need some more assistance, the college offers you free tutors. Take advantage of that because our students know that, for example, in my class, they have to see the tutors, and all of them are really nice people, and they will do whatever you need to get you prepared for presentations, for classes, for homework, and just to talk, just to practice the language. So that is a great advantage we have. And then I'm gonna show you some other things. We also have, in addition to the classes, you can participate with other speakers or you know, native speakers or students. We have the French table that meets every other week. We are very active in that. Spanish club. Sometimes we offer activities at kickoff, but we also meet every other week. And then we have Japanese is also very active. You can participate in the conversation table that meets every other week. And they actually have cultural events. I didn't come because I didn't know that much, but there is some kind of Zumba, and you know how much I love Zumba. But the Japanese have also a Yosakoi dance that is also a cultural dance that they do, they perform, they have a lot of fun. And, you know, we have that on campus. You don't have to go anywhere. We have it right here. The Japanese teachers are very active in the community. They give you a lot of workshops on, you know, calligraphy, language contest, the Japan Festival, and, you know, like I mentioned, the conversation tables. Free tutors, please consider that. It's very, very important. I need to learn Farsi for personal reasons. And I wish I could have that opportunity to have a free tutor. just to be able to meet with that person on Zoom. So here is free. And last but not least, on occasion, we offer faculty-led trips to the countries where the language that you are learning is spoken. So you can see an example here. We are in the Patagonia, at the border of between Chile and Argentina. So like I say, you are young, you can probably save money, maybe ask your grandparents for some money and say, hey, I'm gonna go and explore the world. And lastly, I'm just gonna say a new language is a new life, according to a Persian proverb. So please consider, ask questions about the programs that we have in the foreign language department. Okay? Okay, so that was it. So now let me tell you about Mexico. And as you know, I am originally from Mexico, from the center part of Mexico. And let me get my other PowerPoint, because I want you, just like Janet said, there are so many things that students come back and they say about this experience. And I am gonna show you briefly where I'm from. And anybody remembers where I'm from?
Mexico.
But yeah, I know. Anything else? The city.
Puebla.
Puebla, sí, oh, Puebla.
Puebla.
Yeah. Puebla, perfect. See, they know. Can you, okay, no, so now, can you see my PowerPoint?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so yeah, I'm from Puebla. I always say Puebla, Puebla in class because it's very important to me, right? So Puebla, see, it's a very old city. As you can see, whenever you think Mexico, Spain, Latin America, you will always think in terms of downtown, because those are the most, where you're gonna find the iconic symbols of the city. So in this case, it's going to be the cathedral, right? A very neoclassical style cathedral, and also the government palace. And Puebla, it is a very culturally important city. And in the case of Mexico, we claim to be the gastronomical capital of the country because the food is that good. Guadalajara also, but Puebla is a little bit better. We have a pyramid that was built by the indigenous cultures. And when the Spaniards came with the colonization, they built a church. So Puebla is also known for a lot of churches, but in the back, we have a very active volcano. So it's a really nice city. If you wanna know about cultures of Mexico, it's in the center part of Mexico, I can say, because it's very close to Mexico City. And this is the state of Puebla and also the city of Puebla. Mexico City is right there. Okay, so we can go to Mexico City for a day trip. However, from Puebla, if I drive about 8 hours, I'm gonna get to Guadalajara. And Guadalajara will be the point of my talk. Guadalajara is actually the third city in importance in Mexico. And it's very important because industrially, culturally, historically, is a very important city. Okay, many things come out of Guadalajara. Puebla is the fourth. Is important, but Guadalajara is a little bit, bigger and has about 5 million people, inhabitants, the metropolitan area. And so it's in the state of Jalisco, as you can see. And Jalisco is very famous for the mariachi. Okay, so you know what mariachi is, right? Okay, so you're gonna listen to the mariachi band, very colorful people, the great sombreros, and beautiful women with beautiful dresses. They had dance, remember? Ta, 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 ta. Well, okay, anyway. And tequila, very important, okay? For the margaritas, is very important. So we have all of that in Jalisco. It's a big city. One more time, you can see the cathedral in Puebla, like I said, or in Mexico, they are very iconic. So when I see this church with the pointy towers and the tiles, everybody will know that this is the Guadalajara Cathedral. Guadalajara has a lot of industry, a lot of businesses, but also, like many parts of Mexico and Latin America, has a lot of inequality in income and how people live, right? So you're gonna find a portion of people in Guadalajara, or Mexican people, who live very comfortably in Guadalajara, but there are a bigger portion of people who are in poverty conditions. So this was a case of this place. We call it Las Pintas. Well, not we call it. They call it Las Pintas, and it's a suburb of Guadalajara. Right now, there might be around 50,000 people, and somehow in 1990 something, 98, some people from JCCC went to the community. They got introduced with these two women. One is an engineer, the other is a doctor, and they began an important collaboration where students from Johnson County Community College began to go to Guadalajara, or to a place in Guadalajara, when they barely had electricity. They probably didn't have running water back then, no roads, anything. And we have seen how the community has developed, but also the importance of this place, the Centro Integral Comunitario, is an important part of this community, because people have been educated, women have been trained to do other things, and they are more aware of their healthcare, and as a result, better things have happened, right? Because through education, a lot of changes have happened. And so this is a little bit of the story of that community. So from the beginning, like Janet mentioned, that a lot of times you think that you are contributing a lot to the community, but actually what happens is that you learn so much, in this interaction with the people and what they have to offer. That is a life-changing experience to be there. Just like what a participant says, you are going to change the world, but afterward you get home and realize that the main change is in you. And I have been fortunate to see, how this happens throughout the week, where we go and we are with the community, how that something happens in the student. To me, I cannot imagine. I am from there, so I have seen everything, right? In Mexico and in many places. So I have seen, the poorest people, and also people in very good conditions. But always it's difficult to imagine somebody who just came out of Johnson County, Olathe, places like that, and then just get to the community.
I've seen it when I've been doing Denmark, seen it too.
Maybe can you mute? Okay. So when you get there, and the conditions are incredibly different, right? And I always admire how students or nursing students are able to adapt. I also have to mention that at the beginning, I used to go with dental hygiene students. Okay, so that was one of the first programs, and the nursing program. So students also went with some dentists, and they were training as dental hygienists, and they would help the community. A lot of kids who didn't have dental services, they just, they were lines of people for a cleaning, or for extractions, or for, some kind of emergency medication. And then we had people from the next program was the solar program. Janet, can you help me out with that?
Yeah, we've also taken early childhood students down there. And most recently, our solar program has gone down and built solar hot water heaters.
Correct. Yeah. And also with that solar program, we we were able to do a program with Spanish. So you also, if you are a Spanish student and you want to go there, you will help with the solar, but you will also be interviewing and talking to the people in the community. So it's been a great program. So I'm going to show you a little bit on my slide. You can see, you know, kind of preparing. We get to the center, El Centro Integral, and they are already waiting for us. People are unpacking their luggage, and they are gonna get ready for a week of being in community with themselves or with the people in this area. And right away, with the help of some volunteer women, they organize in the neighborhood, they organize a site where our nursing students can go and they can do screenings. So students are gonna go, and you know, we always go with an interpreter, but it's amazing to see how much Spanish they learned throughout that time, because it's just amazing. They you know, and how they can communicate, because they are communicating with their heart, basically. You know, it's not about the language. Sometimes it's just like the human touch, the human contact that makes a big difference. And so this is what happens in the morning and in the afternoon. Then we go back twice for our meals, where again, in community, they prepare wonderful meals. And then our students are trying some of the Mexican meals, traditional and actual authentic Mexican meals. But the people there, you know, they might not have a lot of money, but they will offer you everything that they have. And it's not uncommon that, you know, these two women are the wife and the child of the baker in the town, in that little town. So it's not uncommon for them to bake something for all of us and then just bring it in the morning and we have fresh bread in the morning to have with our coffee. It's fantastic. We have established a lot of relationships with these women, and they recognize us when we see them on the street, and when they see us, they already know, oh, the gringos are here, right? And they're gonna take care of us, and they're gonna offer us whatever we have. And there is a lot of, you know, it's good to have most of the nursing students are women. And so it's wonderful, because a lot of times women in Mexico, for whatever ideas they have, they feel more talking to women, right? So it is great that sometimes they ask questions about their, you know, women care, and it's very important for them to go to have somebody to talk to. We also organize a health fair at a church where the whole community comes, and we have stations to educate them in, you know, stress or heart care, you know, different respiratory problems, etc. And then at the end of the week, we usually have this wonderful interaction after the fair, where the whole community is together, and we all come together and we make friends for life. So it is a wonderful experience. I you know, I miss it very much, and I'm ready to go back. This is Dr. Carmen, and she's the doctor of the community, and this is the Ingeniero Marta, and she's an engineer, and both of them are wonderful women in the community. I don't know if we have time. We probably don't have time, right, Janet? Because I have a little video, a testimonial.
How long is it, Luz? Because you could take another 5 minutes if you needed to.
It's probably about 3 minutes. It's a song.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
So please tell me, can you see it, the video?
Yes.
Can you hear?
Not yet. Not yet.
Can you hear?
Yes.
No.
Luzma, did you push the share sound when you shared?
I thought I did. Maybe I didn't. You have to do it every time, right? Okay, so here it goes. Sorry. Okay. Can you hear now?
I can see the future painted in my eyes.
We can't see it though.
Open up the door and fade into the light.
Luz, we only see your desktop.
Okay. I don't think this is gonna work anyway, because I don't get the menus to stop my share. Oh, hold on. Okay. Let me try again. Share sound.
Dive into
Yes or
the
no?
world I know.
Okay.
Take my hand and follow me into the sun. There's no end. This is where we come alive. This is where we come alive. And into the light. Breathing the unknown. This is where we come alive. I can feel it rising. Golden waves of sound. We're shaking the horizon. Like thunder on the ground. Dive into a world I know. Just take my hand and follow me into the sun. There's no end. This is where we come alive. This is where we come alive. Out of the shadows and into the light. Breathing the unknown. This is where we come alive. 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 Out of the shadows and into the light.
Okay. Well, I think that this brief testimonial can give you an idea of how life-changing this trip might be for, our nursing students and, everybody who goes. Do you have any questions? Well, hopefully in the future we can, find a way to take you there.
I
Okay.
hope we can too. I encourage any of you students who are interested to contact me.
Yeah. But I got it wrong.
All right, if you are not muted, would you go ahead and mute so that the background noise that we all have doesn't come through? Thanks so much. So for our second presentation today, I want to introduce to you Dan Owens from economics and Dave Krug from accounting. And probably some of you already know them because if you've taken business classes, you might have already had a course from them. In addition to just caring about the world, they also are faculty sponsors for our International Student Club, which you are all welcome to join, whether you are American or international, it's for everybody. And so they are today going to talk about Germany. Dan has spent quite a bit of time there. Dave visited it for a while, so he'll kind of give us the perspective that we might have if we would go to Germany for a brief time. We are hoping to have Dan and Dave lead a student study abroad trip to Germany in 2023, maybe in May. So we talked earlier about study abroad. You know, if you save a little, you're surprised when all of a sudden you can afford it. And as Lou said, it's money well spent. So Dan and Dave, the time is yours. Thanks for letting us explore the world with you.
You bet. You bet. Dan, do you want me to go ahead and start? We can't hear you. Do you want me to do mine first, Dan, or?
Yes, Dave, why don't you start?
Okay. All right. I want to tell you a little story. We're going to actually do a little fun thing here and it has everything to do with what we're talking about. But I'm going to present a little bit on why. Let me share my screen here. And can you see my PowerPoint? Yes, you can. Okay.
Yep.
I want to talk a little bit about one of the coolest thing that's happened to me. And it is one more example why forming international relationships and doing these international exchanges is so important. And this is I think this is a feel-good story in a time when we need feel-good stories, okay? So let me walk you through this a little bit. I teach accounting here at JCCC, and that's a younger version of Dave, actually 10 years younger. But I have hundreds of videos on public YouTube, and I teach whole accounting classes, and I did it in the television studio here at the college. And we have those as publicly available. And people watch those from around the world. And it's kind of fun because my email's in there, and I get emails just all the time from folks who watch those and who enjoy them. And it's most rewarding when it comes from a country or an area that they really can't afford a tutor or something like that. Well, I got an email from a young man in Afghanistan named Hajmat, and he is 18 years old. And he was just an eager young lad. And I don't even remember when he first contacted me, but he just emailed me and said he loved the accounting videos. And like most young men, his dream has always been to be an accountant. And we just developed a very nice exchange. And I have the only Facebook page I have anymore is the one for Dave Krug Video Instructor. And it's kind of a way to socialize with these folks who watch these videos. Well, he sent me a message through Facebook Messenger, and just told me how much he wanted to be an accountant and how much he wanted to do it. And we just kind of started talking as friends, and you know, it was just a nice little relationship. And he would ask me questions about the videos sometimes, and you could see we loved to talk about food. And he sent me a picture of his friends, and that's him in the lower left, in the light blue. And I would always I would always tease him because they always had Coca-Cola whenever they were eating. And so we just had a nice little relationship there. Well, as you all know, in the last year, things in Afghanistan have gotten very, very, very rough. And so the tenor of our conversation started to change. And I sent him these Facebook messages about, are you okay? You know, what happened to those kids that I saw in the picture? You know, what are your plans? And, you know, this kid's only 18. I have sons who are 23 and 25, you know, 5-7 years older than him. And 18 seems very young when you're 55, like I am. And I was concerned about him and what was happening in Afghanistan. And he was at the airport for a long time trying to leave. And he wanted me to write him a letter to help get him out of the country. And I think he had an exaggerated importance of me and what sort of, pull I had. But he really wanted to come to the United States. And, I tried to explain to him, hey, nobody can get out now. A letter's not going to help you get to the US. He insisted so much, I finally did write him a letter so he could just at least have it. Surprise, surprise. The officers at the airport did not care about their letter from JCCC Professor David Krug. But he started getting a lot more nervous. As a matter of fact, he was sending me video of gunshots and chaos where he was at. Well, I didn't know what to do. So what I did was I remembered that, I think it was about 7 years ago, Jeanette, is that correct? Somewhere around there?
Somewhere around there.
Okay. We had, and Jeanette, you can fill me in on the gaps here, but we had a 1 semester long exchange with some faculty from Sukar IBA University in Pakistan. And so I was talking to Jeanette, and I think I had conversations briefly with Dessa as well, Jaya, but I was like, how can we help this kid get to the United States? Well, really no good way. So I thought, okay, can we get him somewhere? Because the kid was just scared to death. He was literally living in a room in a basement in a friend's house, just kind of in hiding. But I remembered that I knew some people from Pakistan from this relationship that we had. And so I got the contact information from those folks. And the person that responded is Abbasi, who is on the left there in the white shirt. So what I did is I made a video to send to him of the situation of my Hajmat, who was in Kabul, Afghanistan, and I was wondering, how can we help this kid? So Abbasi and I started putting our heads together, and Hajmat is sending me all these certifications and certificates that he has achieved, and you can see just what an eager, earnest young guy he was. We're just, and Abbasi and I just tried to figure out, how can we help this kid? Well, surprisingly, and I don't know, I talked to him both over WhatsApp, like a telephone call, and a lot of texting and a lot of email messages. I didn't think this guy had a chance in heck of getting out of there, but he applied for a visitor visa to Pakistan. Now, what I asked Abbasi is, hey, if he can get into Pakistan and we need to help him with food or lodging, can you help me with that? And I said, I can find you money to do that. I can wire it to you or whatever. But I said, I need to know that there's somebody in Pakistan that can help him. I can't get to Pakistan, obviously. And Abbasi assured me that we could do that. We continued to talk. So now, fast forward to just the last couple of weeks, Hajmat wants to be an accountant so badly. And so he learned about this Academy of Commerce, Pakistan Academy of Commerce that's there. And he really wants to go there. And, one thing that I told him when he was in Pakistan, or when he was in Afghanistan and he was just frightened, there were times I would call him just to talk to him. And I told my wife, I don't think I'm going to be able to help this kid, but I at least want to give him a voice that he can talk to know that somebody cares. And one thing I told him is I said this, hey, if you can ever get out of Afghanistan, I can help find some money to assist you with your tuition. I said, I promise you that, because I said that may not be for 5 or 10 years, but I wanted them to have some hope. Wanted him to have a reason to go on, because he was very stressed, as you can imagine a kid would be in Kabul. So he found this academy, and I looked at it and I checked it out just like I was checking out a institution from one of my own kids. And I liked the fact, I was watching their videos. I liked the fact that there were females and males there at this college. And I'm scheduled to talk to some of the people there this week over the phone because I have questions. I want to make sure that this would be a good path for him. So he was in Kabul, which is in the middle there. Now he's in Peshawar, which is where PAC school is. And he's applied to PAC, and they're actually letting him attend classes. Their semester started in November, which I don't understand why, but one of their learning semesters started in November. And so he's actually went to class this week, and I have a fee schedule, and I'm supposed to talk to the college tomorrow. But he sent me this to me. Abbasi also goes by this other name of Ishfaq, I think. I'm not sure how all their names work over there. But and my wife and I called him this week, called Hajmat this weekend, and we talked to him for about an hour. And it's just the demeanor in this young man's, you can just tell how he's living in a hostel near the school. And he's just so much more at peace that you can just tell in his voice. And so this story's not over yet. We're hoping to get him in the school, but we want to check it out. I want to make sure it is a good move. I couldn't have done this all without Abbasi because I needed somebody who understood the culture over there and to know, is it safe? How can we wire money? And turns out I'm going to be wiring money to Abbasi, who then is going to help when I can't pay directly. So I don't know how all this is going to end up. And Dessa and Jaya and Jeanette, if I'm making any huge mistakes in any of this, please certainly let me know afterwards. But I wanted to end this just by saying, I think there's a lot of people who think this international stuff and international exchanges and international students and international relationships, they're just all kind of this novelty. Not really necessary, but sure, it's kind of fun to eat food from another country if you want, kind of fun to hear other languages. No, this is not just some sort of novelty or luxury that if you can afford it, you do it. I think this is one of the most important things in education, is to have this diversity and to form these relationships with people overseas. Because I will tell you right now, I don't think, I know I could not have helped this young man without Abbasi and I both working together. And I don't believe Abbasi could have helped him without having somebody like myself who had a different set of relationships and knowledge of accounting and all that sort of thing. And to me, this just underscores everything that Jeanette, Jaya, Suzanne, Dessa, Kim, what they do, and the trips that Luz takes. These are not just little vacations. These are life-changing events. And I'll go as far to say, if there were more international exchanges and more international knowledge and relationships, we could solve a lot of the world's problems. We could solve a lot of the world's problems. So that is my little story that I wanted to tell. And I don't know how it's going to fully end up, but it has been a very neat situation that's resulted because of some of the international stuff that the school's done.
All right, I think I'm next, but does anybody have any questions for Dave? After that, it's nice to have a little flexibility. We were supposed to talk about Germany, and I'm going to do that in a second. But he told me this story, and I'm like, you should talk about that at the meeting because everybody needs to hear that story, right? That's pretty motivational stuff. Hats off to you, Dave. Dave often exposes the moral bankruptcy of my character. This is yet another experience that's doing that. All right, well, I'm going to take the last little portion here and talk about Germany. And today I'm going to focus on Berlin. And the Cold War, you may have heard that Dave and I are going to start leading study abroad groups. You can all see that now, right? To Berlin. And the focus of that trip is going to be about the Cold War. It's a pretty interesting historical story. I was there to live some of it. I'll get to that a lot of other things we'll do in Berlin. There's a lot of groovy art and culture. It's my favorite city in the world. It's hard for me to put anything ahead of New York, but Berlin's a pretty cool place to go. If you can go one place in Germany, it would be my recommendation. Although there's a lot. Germany's an amazing country, and I'm happy to talk about that if you're interested. I've been all over it. I studied in Germany a couple of years. I speak German. Die schöne Sprache. So I'm going to talk just a little bit about why Berlin was so important in the Cold War. You probably know some of this, but maybe not all of it's clear. After the war, Germany was divided into 4 occupation zones. It was actually divided into 3. There was the big 3, Britain, Russia, USA. And Churchill was like, wanted more European weight. So he sort of insisted on getting the French in. And Stalin's like, okay, they can come in, but their zone's coming out of your zone. So when they divided Germany up after World War II, the victorious Allies split it into these 4 zones: the Russian zone, the British zone, the American zone, and the French zone. And they did the same thing in Berlin. And what was a little weird about that was that Berlin's in the middle of the Eastern zone. It's this little island of the West in the East. And there were actually rules that said that all of them have access to each other's zones. So when you would be in West Berlin, you would sometimes see a Soviet patrol come by, or if you were in the American zone, all of a sudden there's the French. And so it's divided. Berlin's divided similarly. What that meant was that West Berlin is like this island of freedom. And, you know, Eastern Europe, communism is really not the right word. I call it Stalinist dictatorship. But it was, you know, the heavy hand of an oppressive government. And the West was given access to Berlin. There were land roads, there were railroads, and there were air routes. Those air routes are going to be important in just a minute. And that's how you would get to West Berlin from what later became West Germany. So the Cold War is increasing, and Stalin tries to get Berlin back in 1948 by closing the land routes. And he thinks he's going to starve it out. And in one of history's most serious facials, Harry Truman says, we'll supply it by air. And we did. And for 11 months, Berlin was supplied with a lot of C-47s. That's that picture there on the left. That's a famous Berlin airport called Tempelhof. Now, to bring this into the day, let me give you an idea of why I think Germany's such a cool place. Tempelhof, this old airport, was going to be torn down. And the Germans love their parks. They love to get outside and picnic and bike. And so the Germans just kind of spontaneously took over this airport. That's what you can see there on the right. Again, this is in Berlin. And they're like, you're not tearing this down. We're going to make it into a park. And they have. And it is the coolest place to go visit. You see people out. You can see a guy back here riding a windsurfing kite. And there's just people just hanging out. And I played Frisbee out there. And they've saved it. It's now a park. On this, and you're out there on this old runway. It's pretty cool. So that's how they kept Berlin, and that worked. Stalin eventually ended the blockade. The Russians' problem and the East Germans' problem is that the East German people are not happy with this form of government. There was an uprising in East Berlin. It started in 1953. That was brutally crushed by the Russians and East German police state. It actually spread across the rest of Germany. That's a picture of Leipzig. And actually earlier than this, in 52, they were started to close the border. So this long border between East and West Germany was increasingly closed, but Berlin stayed open because of this end of World War II agreement. And so all these East Germans are leaving. Increasingly, there's all these young East Germans who can leave and go to freedom in the West. And West Germany is actually kind of encouraging it. I also studied in the town called Gießen, where they were processing a lot of these people. The East Germans didn't care if the old people left because they were now a burden on the state. They didn't want their young, talented, educated workers leaving. That's called the brain drain. And so to stop it, as you probably know, they built the wall in Berlin. It started out like this: let's put guys on the border with guns and tell you can't go there. And it gradually got refined. When I lived in Berlin, it was like this. And this actually tells you a lot about the differences. First of all, you couldn't get close to the wall on the east side. But if you could, it was a blank white, nothing interesting. I mean, it was restricted. On the west, you could paint, people could go right up to the wall and paint it. I painted the Berlin Wall with some friends a couple days. It was pretty cool. Now, not here. This was in the main center. This is Potsdamer Platz, close to it. I was down in Neukölln. There were still blank spots in the wall. We'd go with our spray paint the wall. I felt pretty counterculture at that point. And these cities become show places. East Berlin is like, East Germany is the most productive satellite in Russia's Eastern Bloc communist puppets. And East Berlin was the wealthiest country, and East Berlin was sort of the showcase town. There's a very famous radio tower in East Berlin. Things were nicer there than in just about anywhere else in the Eastern Bloc. This is West Berlin. This is a famous street called the Kudamm, a very famous cathedral there called the Kaiser Gedächtniskirche. They left after World War II. They left it as a ruin, as a monument to the war. You can see the new church here. That'll be something else we see on the Berlin trip. Well, in the spring of 1989, and I was studying in West Berlin at the time, the border actually opens up first in Hungary. That was called the Green Wall because it ran, Churchill famously said, from Stettin in the Baltic to Trieste in the Adriatic, an iron curtain has descended across Europe. And he meant this line all the way down here. It first opens up here. Hungary was one of the more liberal, that's not a contradiction in terms of Eastern Bloc states. And the East Germans just pour out. This is a line of cars, a lot of them East German Trabants, trying to leave. And so it kind of opens up down here. And increasingly, there was a really important weekend in October of 1989 when East Germany's, what's the title? Prime Minister Krenz was the guy's name. Had the choice. The protests were actually really big in Leipzig, and he had the choice about whether to send in the tanks and armored cars or not. And he didn't do it. Igor Krenz, Elon Krenz, I need to brush up on that. And so the wall comes down. It's just not sustainable. If you can't keep your people in, then your system's not sustainable. If your people want to leave and you can't lock them in like they have been successfully doing for 30 years, it's over. Here you can see the day it's opened up. Everybody's on top of the wall in front of Germany's most important national symbol in Berlin, the Brandenburg Gate. A funny part about the wall coming down, you're like, yeah, let's go tear down the wall. And then you get up to it and it's this impossibly dense concrete structure. It's really hard to tear down. In fact, I have pictures that I took. I can go back to an earlier part of my PowerPoint. There's me helping tear down the wall. That's me right there. Behold the ravages of time. With a bunch of friends, and we're up there. You can see we've got our hammers and our sacks to fill up. You can see they've started dismantling some of the top of the wall there. That's right on Potsdamer Platz. And like this is a German Hausfrau. She's up there with a screwdriver and a hammer trying to chip away at this concrete wall. I mean, we'd come away with these really little flakes. There were some entrepreneurs up there. You can see this guy down here's got a hatchet. He's up there trying. But it was actually cool because you'd meet strangers and just kind of share this joy at this beautiful event that was happening. You'd even see kids up there. They have this little kid with his chisel and his hammer. And this was actually down in Fulton, Missouri. There's a little piece of the wall down there where Churchill gave that famous Iron Curtain speech. And today Berlin is the capital of a free Germany. Germany's one of our closest allies. We just celebrated Veterans Day, and we want to honor those American vets who protect our freedom. There's German soldiers protecting our freedom today too, and Italian soldiers, and Dutch soldiers, and British, and all our NATO allies. And you can see the Reichstag. This is now in West Berlin. This is their whole modern government center. The wall ran right behind that. There you can see the Brandenburg Gate right there. There's that radio tower in East Berlin. You may have heard Christo, a famous artist, rap the Reichstag. it's kind of a symbol of the freedom of artistic expression over, in a liberal democratic country like Germany now is. It's a very beautiful scene. So if you get the chance to go to Germany, I recommend starting in Berlin. Any questions?
Well, thanks so much, Dan and Dave. I mean, Dave, what an encouraging story. We think that one person can't really make a difference. And I think that on the one hand, you said one person can't do it, but one person cooperating with others can. And so rather than going out and saying, how can I change the world? Maybe we could say, how can we together change the world? Because this shows that perhaps we can. And I really would love to go on that trip to Germany. For those of us who lived through the falling of the Berlin Wall, and I realize I've just dated myself, that was the most amazing experience, because that had been such a fixture my whole life and such a dividing line and a source of fear and anger. And all of a sudden, just virtually overnight, it was gone. And so things do get better sometimes. And what a testament to the desire of human beings to be free. So thank you so much to our presenters for coming. Thanks for your time. I do want to say that tomorrow afternoon at 2:00, if you're on campus, the International and Immigrant Student Service Office will be sponsoring chai tea and conversation about international approaches to sustainability with Dr. Christie from the Sustainability Office. It's in OCB 107, which is the back of the CoLab. It's at 2:00. The chai tea is free, so is the conversation. It's another event of International Education Week, and we invite you all to join us. This is our last Explore the World event this semester. We hope to be back in the spring with a few more. So in the meantime, be safe, be wise. Good luck on your finals to all of our students and to our faculty. And let's continue to explore the world any way we can.